And welcome to the Hiredgun podcast with your host, the Hiredgun. First, like, subscribe, share. How you doing, y'all? So, let's get into it right quick. So, Raw was decent. It was the go home show. So, you know, we were just, well, not we. It was the go home show. So, you know, usually you don't get a big takeoff stuff from a go home show. Just want to send us home, and get ready for Mania. Now, let me say some stuff right quick about the stuff I didn't like. Not about Raw, but this build up card. Alright, so, you know, people who win, the women in particular here, the women who win titles, at WrestleMania, should be worried about next year. They really should. Because the last 2 years that the women's have won a world title, they have not been on the card. They haven't been on the card and at all. When Bailey won the women's WWE title, world title, the women's heavyweight title, right? Right. The next year she didn't get on the card, and we can put it on story or whatever. She's still Miss Mania, right? Right. That was last year, right? This year, last year, Io Sky won, or she came in as a women's world champion, and she left as a women's world champion. All right, and she's not going to be on the card this year. And let me be clear about Io. Nah, listen, wait. First, let me be clear about Bailey. I am a fan, inside and out. I am a fan in more ways than one of Bailey. At no point should she not be on this card. Alright? At no point should Bailey be the fucking 2.0 Nadia, in my opinion. Alright? Shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen. So let me go with the whole EO thing. EO is probably the best wrestler that they have. Let me not even say female. She's probably the best wrestler in the business in WWE right now. And she doesn't have a card. Like, she doesn't have a match on this card. Now, what we thought we was gonna get is her versus Asuka, and they was setting that up 2 weeks ago. Asuka and Io, all right, and then Io deleted her tweet or whatever, wherever she said that at, because I seen it on Twitter, but it doesn't mean it was on Twitter first. But she was challenging Oscar, and she deleted yesterday, so they went a different route. Now last night, she fought Kyrie Singh last night, and it developed. The story developed more, but they can handle that backlash now, which is not cool. It's not cool. Io should be on this card. Now, I mentioned that with the women should be worried. Alright, so the three people besides Rhea, which she's probably not going to win her match at Mania anyway, but still, that's not the point. At least she's on the card. The two other people in that match are not on the card this year because Bianca's hurt. Now, she would have been on this card, and I'm sure that would have made people bitch even more about how is Bianca and Rhea on this card, but Io's not. Definitely that would happen because Rhea would have probably. Oh, but you know what? You know what? Probably not. Probably not because Io and Rhea probably would have tagged, and they would have been in this tag team match. That they, I mean, that the other females are in probably would have been in that. So saying that, the reason we're not getting the Io versus Oscar match at Mania is because they're still worried about Nikki Bella and Brie Bella. They're still worried about that shit, right? When all they have to do, when all they have to do is just make it a three-way instead of a four-way, and then we still get Io versus Oscar. So since we on this topic about people missing out on cards, so it was a last minute decision to not have Mello on the card, which is crazy to me. Mello should be on this card. Dragunov and Mello should be on this fucking card. I don't know why they shift so hard. Like the title didn't have. I mean, like Sammy versus Trick. Trick didn't have to have this United States title with it. I mean, eventually Trick would have had the United States title after Mania. Right? He didn't have to shift so hard that 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 this man had to have a title, especially if Sammy just want to drop it the Trick anyway. You know, like sometimes they do too much because again, this match did not need the title because you are already shipping Trick uh, around places without that title in the first place. He was just on the pivot. He's on something else that I'm gonna look at. Pause. Like he's on something else. Um, right? Like he's been on ESPN a couple of times. He's been on One Assistant Park. He's been in the Wrestling Club. He's probably he's probably gonna be on Good Morning America. So like you are already shipping him around without the United States title on his waist. You couldn't wait an extra month and let Chip lose that way. Like Sammy didn't need another run. It's to show you that like the fans don't like him right now. So so then, but you know, I'm pulling straws here. Uh, Dragunov and Mello should be on this card because they did the majority of the lifting and the work and the blood, sweat, and tears to make that title mean something. I'm not saying Sammy didn't, but Dragunov and Mello did more. Right? They carried it until they got to me. Alright? And now and then here's the thing. They took away the best thing on SmackDown was the open challenge. Alright? Like they took away the best thing that was on SmackDown. The best thing. Whether if it was Sammy holding the United States title open challenge, whether it was Dragunov holding the United States open challenge, and whether it was Mello, definitely holding the open um, challenge. Right? So like they literally took away the best thing on SmackDown. Right? So now it, we just don't see shit. Now, last night, match of the night can go to two matches for me. Either see, it's a cop out for me to say. See, no, it can't. It can't because I was gonna say the Dragon Lee and Javon Evans versus JD and Rusev, but that match only lasted like 4 minutes at tops. You know, 5 to 4 minutes at tops. So I can't say that was the best match on the card. I can't. Charlotte versus uh, Akira was the best match on the card last night. Alright, so far, that's the only match of the night so far. So now we got NXT tonight. We have AEW Wednesday, and then we have um, TNA and and AEW on Thursday for Collision, and then main event 2 on Thursday, and then Friday SmackDown. But so let me say something right quick because somewhere down the line, people think I haven't been watching AEW since day one. That's not true. I've been watching AEW since day one. Okay, day one, and I, I I want you to I want people to understand something too. I'm not gonna just badmouth AEW just to badmouth them. Alright? There's stuff I like in AEW, and there's some things I don't like in AEW. You know, but I'm never gonna sugarcoat it, and I'm never gonna just talk bad about them. No, no. Another good match on the card for that pay per view for AEW was the John Moxley versus Will Ospreay match. Good match. Um, I wasn't expecting Will Ospreay. So I wasn't expecting Will Ospreay to lose, but you know that the title is beneath him. First of all, just like it's beneath John Moxley. But you know, uh, uh, Will Ospreay doesn't need that title. You know, because he should be in the main event picture. He should. He should. But you know, it is what it is. But I still didn't see him losing. But you know, some people feel like once the title got announced for him winning the title, I mean not winning the title, like going for the title, that John Moxley was gonna win. But so who beats John Moxley? It's my question. It's my question. Uh, so I was having this discussion with the wife the other day about um about John Moxley, not John Moxley, about certain wrestlers that people say they're the best, and I don't like they've never been the best to me. Okada's one of those people. I hate to say it, you know, and it doesn't mean he's not good to me. He's just not in my top 10. I'm a top 5. He's just not. Okada, Kenny, uh, Kenny's in my top 15. You know, but Okada, Kenny, um, there was other people. I can't remember right now. What? Let me get into the Oba versus Brock right quick. So I'm still on board that Oba's gonna win. The promo last night and how the fans, how Oba had the fans eating out of his hands last night. Yes, like he can't mess this up. The only way he can mess this up is if Oba loses and Brock wins. All right, but they can't mess this up. They can't. Like this wouldn't hurt. This wouldn't hurt Brock. I mean hurt Oba. But like whatever momentum he has and what they got going here, and what they got going would really hurt. It would hurt. It wouldn't burn them, but damn, any momentum they had with him will be less, right? Because he's way over right now. I mean, way over right now. All right, he's probably the over is superstar right now that they have. Okay, and that's saying over it in Punk, Roman, um, Brock. Which is another reason why he should beat Brock. I'm still not on board for him swashing Brock, but he should beat Brock. Yeah, like I'm 80-30 right now. That over wins. I hope I'm right. I really do. Like last night, they did so. A couple people brought up what about the contract signing and stuff. And what they did last night was a smart thing. They made him sign the contract separately, but in the ring, like one came out, Brock came out first in the beginning of Raw, and Over came out later on, uh, later on in Raw, and he signed the paper. And then Paul Heyman came out, and I'm gonna get into Paul for a minute. In a minute, Paul Heyman came out and he did this thing, and over promo for the first time. I mean, not the first time, but the first time, and this build up. And he did real good. Regardless if it wasn't strip, regardless if it was a strip promo for him to remember, and it wasn't like a freestyle promo like from Punk or Cena or The Rock or somebody like that, right? Which I say The Rock, but The Rock's been caught with shit on his fingers. I was like on his palms, so he can remember shit. But you know, um, still good, still good, um, real good. It made me a believer again because I was 50-50 on this shit for like 3 weeks. All right, so but good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. So let me get into Paul, and then I'm gonna get into the final statement with Raw with CM Punk and Roman. So Paul, and Carson said today that Paul did a lot of building um, for this mania. He had to, and for me, I think Paul doesn't get enough credit for the stuff he does. There was another it was another question that Carson asked. Well, first of all, one was a statement, I just said, and then the other one was a question. Do I think Rock would have been who he is now without Paul? No, I don't. I don't. That's not saying Rock wouldn't have been champion, because he probably still would have been champion. But Rock wouldn't have been who. If Rock wouldn't have been this without Paul, because even though Rock doesn't need Paul as a mouthpiece right now, because it's been shown that he doesn't need him right now, right? That doesn't mean back in the day he didn't need Paul. He needed Paul, just like Roman Reigns needed Paul, just like CM Punk. Because I'm a firm believer. I am a firm believer that I've always said that CM Punk didn't need Paul Heyman as a mouthpiece, and that part is true. He didn't need him as a mouthpiece. He didn't. But the backstage, but he needed him for the backstage politics. Because without Paul, CM Punk is not in the E. Without Paul, we don't get the CM Punk we see now. Without Paul, we don't get CM Punk doesn't win any championships because he's not around for it. You know, so Roman's not Roman without Paul. Like Roman's not the tribal chief without Paul. It's just the truth. It's just the truth on that day. Brock's not Brock without Paul. And then, Austin Theory is probably fired without Paul. because like uh, Paul Heyman believes in Austin Theory. Paul Heyman wants to meet Austin Theory to start. This is not the first time that Paul Heyman seen something Austin Theory and wanted them to be in a group either with Seth or or in general. All right, like so without Paul, Austin Theory's probably not even here anymore. Okay, and that's just the truth. That's just the truth on that situation. Like Paul has done a lot for WWE, for ECW, for in general, in the back. You know, all right, because um Javon Evans talked good about Paul. You know, Oba talked good about Paul Heyman. Like I don't think anybody talks bad about Paul unless it's AJ Styles. Which I still don't know the beef with that. Okay, don't. I don't. Maybe Kevin Owens. Maybe Kevin Owens too. But they in the same indie field, so maybe something happened with that. Which they pulled Kevin Owens from the meet and greet shit. So don't know. Don't know about that. Um, so let me get into the Roman versus CM Punk statement. So this is probably the weakest at a Avis statement, statement that they did. Like I kind of figured after the pipe bomb that Punk did last week that it wasn't gonna live up to what happened this week because like Roman and CM Punk's best promo work was the first one. And it never reached its peak after that. Whether they had to change some stuff around because they couldn't talk about CM Punk's dog, you know, and then whether CM Punk shouldn't even talked about Roman's father in the first place. Because here's the thing, he apologized yesterday, so meaning he shouldn't have said it yesterday. I mean, said it in the first place. Which is true because if we can't talk about Larry, we shouldn't talk about CM Punk. I mean, we shouldn't talk about Roman Reigns' father. Shouldn't have happened. Now, last night it was more about them saying why they hate each other. Like why Roman hates CM Punk and why Punk hates Roman. Now, some would say that the reason this build didn't live up to what it was supposed to be is because Roman announced who he was going to fight too soon. But we knew Roman wasn't going to be around for 2 months, like the whole 2 months after the Rumble. We knew this already. There was no way around that. Because you never heard Roman okay with adding dates to his schedule. Shit doesn't happen. It doesn't happen on here. Now maybe Rock can do it. Maybe Brock and maybe The Rock can do it, right? But as far as Roman do it, Roman doesn't do that. You get what you get, which is also a bad reason. Like I think Roman's gonna win, but this is a bad reason. Like one of the main reasons you shouldn't put the title on him, he's not gonna be there all the time. Regardless if this is gonna be a short run, like Roman's not gonna be there all the time. You know, like Roman's at he's after Mania he's gonna be there, right? And then after that he's not. So like the reason you made this title in the first place is because of this. and that's the problem. That's the problem. And I'm not saying you keep the belt on punt because of that, but you keep the belt on punt, and then whoever he fights next month, he drops it to them instead, right? Because you can't have Roman holding the title hostage for like 6 months, right? And then you only seen him for 3 times out of them 6 months. Nope, nope, nope. Can't do it. Can't do it. Nah. But like I said, it was a decent show. It was a decent show. Like it wasn't bad to me. Like I said, for it to be bad for me, it has to be unwatchable for me to say it's bad. You know, um, you know, I keep hearing about ticket sales. Listen, if the E would have just stood to it being in New Orleans, we're not having this discussion. We're not having this problem. Like, we're not at all. All right. Hey, if the E just would have stuck to New Orleans and not went up on their prices their prices with tickets, we're not having this problem. Then we're not even having this discussion about about all this shit. And that's just being truth. That's just being honest. You know, um, I seen something on ESPN, and they was talking about the biggest match. They had the top 5 biggest matches for Mania this year, and they said that someone had the nerve to say that the Cody versus Orton. Now, maybe if Pat didn't involve himself in this shit, I can see that because we get a different build and everything. But nah, dog, like nah, yeah, miss me with that shit. Nah, yeah, there's only been certain builds uh going for this card, and that ain't one of them because of the Pat shit. Like Pat should Pat and Jelly Roll shouldn't be in this feud. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Period. Um, Cause it hurt. It did hurt the build up. It did hurt this match. Like the two matches on this card has been built great. It's the Ova and Brock match and the Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan match. Those two matches have been built great. Have been built great. Um, the CM Punk and Roman she's been built uh, good, not great, good. Um, and some of it's been hurt because Roman wasn't there for some of it. You know, and then you got to feel it like you had to fill in Finn uh, for a month, so Roman wasn't there. You know, and some of this is us being spoiled too, because of the fact that we got The Rock at one point, and The Rock made some interesting and everything. Got Stone Cold up in there. Well, not Stone Cold. I'm sorry. Nah, yeah. You got Stone Cold to show up for one of these events too. Alright, and that happened and everything. But since none of that's happening this year, yeah, people were like, people are complaining and bitching and crying. Get off my yard, old man shit, you know, because we're not getting the, the other stuff, uh, the extra stuff. Some things that stand alone, and people might say that I see the glass half full. I got you. That's how I am in real life. I am like in general. That's how I am. So I'm gonna see it in wrestling too. Um, you know, but tonight, like I said, is NXT. I'll probably come on. Probably come on Wednesday. Wednesday or Thursday I'm going on. And then Friday I get my winners for both cards. But I'm gonna end the show with that. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Make sure you guys watch wrestling. No matter what it is, no matter if it's NXT, no matter if it's WWE, no matter if it's ROH, New Japan, AEW, NWA, you know, TNA. No matter what it is, watch wrestling. Watch what you like. You know, this is the Hiredgun. No, make sure y'all watch E-Fest. I watch New Breed. This is the Hiredgun podcast. God bless, love you all. I'm out.